Corgi Chat. I'm Max Doherty. It's my wife, Susie Doherty. She is a hobby breeder of corgis. And our son, Gavin, is the tech guy slash producer. Say hi, Gavin.
Hi.
Hey, all right. So we haven't done one of these in a long time.
I think it's been about a year.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, time flies. I thought it was a month. No, I knew it was longer than that. But I didn't realize it was a year. Lots happened, and we're going to tell you all about the whole year. No. We're going to talk about some recent activities at the Cal Corgis. Most recent, Taffy and Axel, who I like to call Team Extreme. They're a couple of my favorite dogs.
They're all my favorite.
Yeah, they're all my favorites. But I had another litter.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us about that litter, Susie?
Well, we have 5 puppies, and there are 3 redheaded tricolor boys and 2 red girls.
Nice. And what went on with her pregnancy that caused her to have a C-section? She had a C-section.
Yeah. Well, when we did the first ultrasound, which is at 30 days, which is halfway through the pregnancy. They're only pregnant for 60 to 63 days. But I do the ultrasound to confirm pregnancy. Other than that, you usually cannot tell that they're pregnant. And and then so we found out that she had about 7 or 8 puppies, but 3 were being reabsorbed, which does happen. I actually haven't had it happen before with my dogs, but it's not uncommon that puppies get reabsorbed. And they're at that time, they're about the size of a like pinto bean, maybe a Great Northern bean.
And you can see them?
On the ultrasound,
Wow.
Sharon can see them, yeah. It's pretty cool. She picks up heartbeats and gets pictures from the ultrasound and draws on them so you can tell what you're looking at. And her drawings are getting much better than in the early days.
Put little feet and tails on them?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we found out, and I was a little concerned. So I called Dr. Becky, and
Dr. Becky Williams?
Yeah, and she said that...
Dr. Williams?
Yeah, and she said that it would be a good idea to put her on progesterone therapy. And what that does is it basically calms the uterus down so that she will... so it'll be calmer in there, so there'll be less chance of her absorbing. Now, I'm actually not sure how it keeps them from reabsorbing or what caused it from happening in the first place. But progesterone therapy helps in this situation. So we went back. At the time, I think she had 6 puppies. And then we went back the next time, and she had absorbed another one. And I believe that's when we started the progesterone. And she kept all of them from then. We had 5. We were doing ultrasounds every week, and we were doing the progesterone therapy. So we quit that about 3 days before delivery, the progesterone.
How often was the progesterone therapy?
It was once a day, and it's a little liquid. You just drop a little 0.3 of a milliliter in a little syringe, and I would put it on her food, and she ate it no problem. It's kind of an oily substance. And let's see. So we did the ultrasounds. Everything seemed to be going well. We also did an x-ray, which was just a couple of days before the puppies were born, and that tends to give you a little better count because you can actually see the bones. And the calcification. So we kept that 5 count, and we had just done the final ultrasound, I think that same morning. And the thing about the ultrasound is you can see whether the puppies are alive or not. However, in an x-ray, especially if puppies were recently had passed, you wouldn't know. You would just see the bones.
Okay.
So
because you hear things with the ultrasound and like the heartbeat, and you can see movement.
Yep.
Where an x-ray is a still shot.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so everything looked good. The puppies, we knew from the ultrasounds, they looked a good size. They looked good. And Taffy's a smallish corgi. She's totally breed standard, but she's on the smaller side. She runs around normally at about 20 pounds.
Oh.
And she, so I wasn't concerned. Nobody was concerned about size. But when you do progesterone therapy, it increases the chances that you'll need to do a C-section. And I think that has to do with that whole uterus calming down. It's never gets excited.
You said it could actually, because it's calm, she could actually be pushing and nothing's happening.
He may not have the muscle strength.
Have the muscle strength.
Yeah, the muscle. Yeah, and so what happened was she went into to labor right on cue on day 60, and it was very mild. I mean, it's very, very mild. We'd go outside. She's in the house all the time, but we'd go outside for our little walks, and she's running around doing her thing. But she didn't eat breakfast. But then she ate a big lunch, so it was a little confusing. It's not always, but oftentimes they won't eat for about 24 hours. However, I've had a couple that eat before, during, after, between puppies being born and everything. But I knew there was something going on, and it was about the right time. So she went for 24 hours in this very mild, where she'd sleep, and then she'd get up and she'd be perky, and we'd go for a run around the neighborhood, come back in, and she would eat, and then she would, or not eat, I'm sorry, she wouldn't eat, she would lay down, and then she would seem to be in discomfort and going through just mild, pre-labor stuff. And then she'd go to sleep, and we'd start over again. And she did that for 24 hours. And then I was just reading, because this is my first experience using progesterone. I was reading more about it. I called Dr. Becky Williams, who was out of town at Nationals with her corgis. And she, I didn't call her, actually. The other vet called. And they said that they said to bring her in. So I took her in, and she was in great spirit. She trotted in, charmed everybody. And then they checked the fetal heart rate, and the fetal heart rate was beginning to drop. Everything was still good, but that can show signs of distress in the puppies, having been in that little bit of labor for 24 hours. And Taffy's temperature had dropped a little bit. So those signs said it's time to take the puppies. And
so perfect timing.
Yeah, I think it was
all
just
the
about
signs
perfect.
Were clear.
Yeah. So we did the C-section. Dr. Dunbar at Chino Hills Animal Hospital. He did the C-section. He's great. Of course, I'm very. I never wanted to do C-sections in the first place, but especially after our last issue with the C-section, where we lost Shiloh, I really didn't want to do it. However, we have to do what we have to do. Everything went great. She came out a little bit groggy, but she took right to the puppies. She nursed them there at the hospital, and then when we came home, she really didn't have her milk coming in yet. So that's kind of a bummer, because you don't want the puppies to. They can go without eating for easily for a day, but you worry about dehydration. I don't like to let it wait that long. So that night, I tube fed them twice during the night. They were very fussy when they were trying to eat. And after I tube fed them, they were all good. They slept, and then about 3 hours later, they got up, and again, they were fussy, tube fed them. But the next day, she had her milk in, and they're all doing great.
Well, okay, since you, to progress a little, since you talked about Shiloh, let's bring that up without getting too many details. We don't need to start crying here again. But Shiloh went in for a C-section. The doctor that did it had done, hundreds of them, never lost a dog, or had only lost one, and it was a weird situation. Mm-hmm. And basically, like I said, we don't need to get into details, but she didn't make it. She went in cardiac arrest. She didn't make it. We brought the puppies home, and that's where you learn how to tube feed, correct?
No, I learned to tube feed last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I had to do a lot of it. I've had just one other litter where I had to help Mom. It was Daisy on her last litter, where she was nursing them, but she wasn't really into it, and she didn't have a lot, and so I did help her, and I would feed also, like every other time I would feed them also. But with Shiloh's litter, we had 3 boys and 3 girls, all beautiful little pups. And I had to, be their mom as far as all their care, feeding, cleaning.
Pooping.
Yeah. And it's exhausting. Now, the thing is that with bottle feeding the puppies, there's a higher risk of them aspirating the formula into their lungs and causing pneumonia, and they don't do well with that. Usually a newborn, or within the first few weeks, when they aspirate, that's it. And I don't know if that happened, or if these puppies were a little premature, but we did lose 3 puppies. We lose the 3 girls. We lost one actually at the same time as Shiloh. She kind of died just shortly after birth. And then the other 2 died here, and that's always hard. It never gets easy. You can say, oh, it's part of it. It's what happens, but no, it's still hard every single time, every single one.
And you pretty much have everything that you could want outside of being able to do surgery.
Surgical skills, I'm lacking, and antibiotics. I don't have antibiotics.
What was really funny is, I mean, not really funny, coincidental. You got everything prepared, and
just in case. I've never needed it before.
Yeah, and then boom, you needed it. So, what were some of the things you had?
Well, some really cool stuff that I got that did actually help with, for sure, one of the puppies, and was hoping it would get 2 of the 2 girls that didn't make it, that were here. I was hoping it would get them through, but it didn't. The boy, it did. The boy, it got him through. But is an incubator. Thank you. That was my Christmas present last year. And
such a romantic.
And an oxygen concentrator. So, especially, if puppies are born a little early, or maybe they're not born early, but their lungs are about the last thing to develop, having that oxygen is kind of a big deal.
So the concentrator makes the oxygen and delivers it to the incubator.
Yes.
Yeah. We were going to use a tank, but it was...
It doesn't last very long. The largest tank that they have, that if I had to use it 24 hours, which I did, and you generally do, would only last about 5 hours at a time. So...
And we have to get a prescription for that, and it's a real big hassle.
Well, we had to get a prescription. Yeah, we had to get a prescription for the oxygen concentrator also, but it's unlimited. It's unlimited supply of oxygen. Yeah. Right.
So that was a big help. We saved one puppy with that for sure, and the other 2, at least we had that. But what else? You had also some plasma?
Oh, yeah. I got plasma, which I just had. I know when Daisy and Layla last year, they had C-sections, and just reading up about it, knowing what I know about it and learning what I learned, they sometimes the moms, because of a C-section, either don't get milk in, because it's a whole different thing than actually giving birth to the puppies, can be. And so, and sometimes the milk doesn't come in, or sometimes they don't take to the puppies. Sometimes, which was a little issue with Daisy at first. It was a little bit scary, but it was just that. What's that?
And she's like, "Who are you guys?"
Yeah, because she said, I don't
remember having puppies.
I just took a little nap at the hospital, and what's this? But no, she ended up doing well. Her milk didn't come in really well, and that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to make sure, if they can't get that colostrum in the first few days of life,
for the mom's milk.
That's where they get their puppyhood immunity. Yeah, antibodies and immunities. So I found out that I got frozen plasma, fresh frozen plasma from a doggy pet blood bank called HemoPet, and I believe they're in Santa Monica. And I have that on hand, and it was just one of those things I wanted to have on hand in case.
And you needed it. You used it.
Yep. I did. I used it on those puppies because I wanted to make sure that they, if they didn't get enough from Daisy, they got something. And then we use it, of course, on Shiloh's puppies.
And they got nothing.
They got nothing from
Mom.
Mom.
She didn't make it. And so what happened with this litter here, Taffy's litter, is we had 5 healthy puppies. And just because we're talking about this, you want to tell about your friend that brought over a puppy because of her situation?
And this is really emotional because I was shopping yesterday, and the phone rang, and so I'm in Bed Bath & Beyond, and she said, and I could tell there was something wrong, and totally in her voice. And she said that she had a litter, and there were 9 puppies, and they were born early, I believe about 4 days early. Because from what I understand is she went into labor, and the puppies weren't, whether one got stuck, they were big puppies, that one got stuck, or whatever the reason, she ended up getting an infection. My assumption is a uterine infection. The puppies had to be taken. They didn't think the puppies would make it at all. And I think they did lose one right away out of the 9, but she took 8 home, and that's great. But there were problems with bottle feeding. There were problems with probably the lungs weren't fully developed.
The premature, the hitting oxygen.
Because even one day can really mean a big difference in their lung ability.
Yeah.
yeah, development.
Ability to be developed.
So,
Excellent.
so my first instinct was bring that puppy over right now, but because I've had issues with things where I've said, yes, go ahead and do that, I've had some major problems with that. So I had to think about it, and I totally interrogated her, and I felt horrible the whole time because, I mean, I could just imagine if it happened, and I have this mama dog with only 5 puppies, and she had 8 last time. I'm like, this is totally doable. But after asking questions about, the puppy had been to the vet, obviously it was born cesarean, and he was otherwise healthy, and he was doing well. He had been checked, and he didn't have any issues. I said, have you had parvo at your house? Have you had distemper? Have you, anything? And she said, no. And I knew she had a litter last year of beautiful, healthy puppies. So for the most part, I felt pretty good. Then I said, bring that puppy over. And they're in Fontana, we're in Chino. It didn't take her long to get here, her and her husband. And Taffy took right to the puppy. You even now that, it's been about 24 hours, even now, she knows it's not her puppy.
Oh, she does?
She does know it's not her puppy. But I'll take him out because he's getting a little more attention right now. Today he's 5 days old, and her puppies are 3 days old.
But he's premature.
He was a little premature, yeah. And from what I understand, and he's much smaller. I mean, her puppies looked little to me. Weight-wise, they were big, but they looked little until that little guy got next to him, because he's about 6.5 ounces right now, and Taffy's smallest puppy is probably 10 or 11 ounces right now.
Wow.
So she brought him over, and what we did, because
how do you know she knows it's not hers?
Well, because
the way she acts?
Yeah.
What does she do?
Well, she doesn't, she's not cleaning him. Or stimulating him to go to the bathroom, but he can totally nurse, and she checks on him. And what I was going to say about, because I lost my train of thought, about handling him a lot more. I mean, it's only been a day, but I'm weighing him quite a bit. I want to make sure he's not, sure he's not losing too much weight. And so when he'll holler when I take him out, he doesn't want to be messed with, and she'll jump right out of the whelping box and she'll check on him.
Oh, okay.
But I have to say, I don't know that she's not tending to all of his needs, but I just haven't seen her do it.
Okay.
So she may be doing it, and he's not having any issues. He's not bloating. He's not in any discomfort. But I'm just doing it also. We're going to make sure, if I have to do this with one puppy for about 2 to 3 weeks, that's not it. That's no big deal.
Compared to what you
and he's nursing really well. He'll get on there, he latches on, and he'll be on there for like 45 minutes because she'll take her little nap and he's on there. So
the first time though, he had a little bit of a difficulty, and you what'd you do?
Well, I got some goat milk and I just put it on her little nipple. And then that's what he was, because before he wasn't really, he's like, I don't know that, I'm not certain that he ever nursed off his mom because his mom didn't have milk. Oh, and then I don't know that I mentioned, thank goodness, the mom survived. His mom made it. So she's good that she never got milk.
But
he just, whether he had never nursed from mom or what, I put a little goat milk on her nipple, and he's like, boom.
But my butt was, the mom made it, but the vet that they took her to, some vets have certain rules that we don't quite understand, but I'm sure it's they have a reason that you might know.
Well, it used to be quite common that when you would take your dog in for a C-section, whether you were a breeder and maybe this was going to be the last litter, or maybe there was something wrong, or it was a stray and you're like, no, let's get the puppies out and we don't want this to happen again, they would often do a spay right after they deliver the puppies. Right. But they don't really do that anymore. And I'm very surprised this vet, because what happened is this vet told her, we won't do the C-section. In the meantime, the dog is suffering. The dog is ill, the mom, and the puppies are at risk.
With an infection.
And this happened to another friend of mine last year.
At a different vet.
I believe it was a different vet, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But they told her, but I had gone to that vet a couple of weeks before, and they didn't do that to me. They asked me, oh, are you going to spay her? And I said, no. I said, we'll see how this litter goes. We'll see how, she does after this, and if she's healthy. and the puppies are great, then I would breed her again. But they didn't say, well, we won't do it. That didn't come up like that. But the same vet a couple of weeks later to my friend said, but so she left. In the meantime, they had her dog in the back and weren't bringing her dog out. There's a puppy stuck, and we lost a puppy. So yeah, so it was like, it was just crazy. But getting back to the thing is, what happens is there's a lot of blood circulation going on down there in the uterus area, that when the mom is pregnant. And so if you're going to be cutting and taking stuff out and incising in there with all that blood flow, that's not an appropriate time to be, just because you don't
want to do two jobs.
I don't
know.
I know. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because in one sense you think they want you to come back and do another surgery.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'd like to find out more about that.
Most vets that I personally know, if you ask them to spay at the same time, they wouldn't do it. They'd say no.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's too risky. So anyhow, they did spay her, and she said that they were going to spay her anyways. It was her second litter, and all the reasons involved, they were going to spay her anyways, but they just hadn't planned on it. That's a lot to think about when you're worried about your dog, you're worried about the puppies, and all of a sudden they throw this on you.
Yeah,
it's that wasn't cool, but they did do the spay at the same time.
And she was going to spay anyways.
Yeah, she was going to anyways.
So, yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing, right? That how she's taken to him and just taking care of someone else's puppy.
I felt that she would. I really felt that she would. And especially her puppies were 2 days old. It was funny, though, because I didn't know she'd notice at all. Because what I did is, after I talked to them and I felt good, I called Cynthia, my friend Cynthia. She's kind of my mentor. I got my first corgi from her, and she's been doing this for a long time. And she actually just had a dog that had one puppy. And mom wasn't producing enough milk, and they were worried about the puppy being the only one in the litter. So they took the one puppy and put it with a litter of border collies that were about the same age. And so now the border collie is raising the corgi puppy. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But and then so I knew she had just done that, and she's done it before. And I asked her, I said, is there anything I'm not thinking about? Is there a question I should have asked, or something I should be concerned about? And after hearing all the questions I had asked, she said no. She said no.
You're cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah. I'm extremely happy to be able to help. Because, oh my gosh, okay, they might hear this, but it was funny because I know what it's like to spend taking care of puppies they were for 4 days. They hadn't slept in 4 days. And when they showed up the door, they looked like they hadn't slept in 4 days. And they were sad, and they were concerned. And yeah. So I'm so glad that we have Taffy, and Taffy took to the puppy, and to be able to
help.
To be able to help, because I can only imagine.
She's a good mom, huh?
She's a really good mom. Really good mom. And one of the things is, over that first, part of the day, I guess over the first night, where she really didn't have any milk, she didn't leave those puppies. Those puppies nursed and nursed and nursed, and I'm sure that was helpful in bringing the milk in, because she laid there with them, and she let them nurse, and she cared for them. Hey, Daisy.
Siggy.
Oh, that was Sookie.
That was Sookie.
And so she, so I'm sure that was very helpful in bringing in the milk, and so yeah.
Right on.
She's a good mom.
So, what else? Let's get off that. We can talk about that all day. But recently there was expo of sorts that Nuco put on at the Disneyland hotel that we went to. That was fun. Mm-hmm. What else has happened?
What was it, about a month ago? When I'm very surprised, because you love surprises so much, you usually can't keep them to yourself. But you did. When Carrie and Gilda kind of put it all together.
They did.
And Carrie and Gilda have Iggy, and Iggy is from Taffy's litter last year. And they got a bunch of people together that are owners, families of puppies from me. From here, not me, but from here, from SoCal Corgis, and we met at a dog park in Chino Hills, and ended up being, I think, 18 altogether of babies. 18. The babies from the past, yeah.
And that's not all of them, but it was a lot. It was like a herd of corgis.
And people drove hours. Some people drove from
San Clemente.
Yeah, people drove hours on a Sunday afternoon. And it was right after the big heat wave. It was still a hot day.
It was still a very hot day, yeah.
It was a cooler day, but it was so good because I see pictures of them all the time, but to actually see them, and it's funny because I perceive them as being a certain size, and you see them in person and they're much smaller or much bigger or whatever. But it was awesome.
It was very cool, yeah. Beautiful park, and Carrie and Gilda did a lot of work, and
it was the first time I'd ever been to a dog park.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of scared of dog parks, though. I won't go there with with puppies but see, here's the thing. Like, I take my dogs all kind of places to do herding and
restaurants.
Yeah, well, dirty places where there are other animals and all. And by dirty, there's dirt, So I take them places,
Claremont Loop,
but not when I have puppies on the way for sure, or I have puppies here. So there's a kind of a small window of time when I can take them out to do things. Although it would probably be fine because I usually don't have the moms interacting with the other dogs during their pregnancies or shortly thereafter.
Right.
But still.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun though. It was nice to see not only the dogs but the people again.
And there were so many people that couldn't make it that I would have loved to have seen, and they wanted to be there. But I was just so impressed that 18 made it.
Yeah, I think they had a hard time finding a date that was, it's never going to be good for everybody.
Right.
It's just never going to be good for everybody. But I think we should try to do it more often, like every 3 months or something. Do something like that again.
I'd love to.
Yeah. I mean, Gilda and Carrie did all the work, but
we'll talk to them about it.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna be corgi party coordinators. But hopefully we can do more of those. And what else is new? Oh yeah, and we put a camera system in the puppy room.
Yes.
So that's been pretty cool.
It's super cool because I can check on my phone and see what's going on. So I can be just around the corner over here and just peep in and see what's happening. And it alerts me if there's any motion in there. It goes off all the time.
Yeah. But, I think it'll be helpful if Taffy comes out of the box and to the door to let you know she needs to go out or something.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see her. And it's fun to check on them. I'm hoping that soon we can get a camera on them so that, and stream it so that people can go to the website and look at it. But
they're eating the bed.
Yeah, they ate the bed. It's all over the
Look how
backyard.
happy they are.
Yeah,
they're so.
They just tore up she's noticing they just tore up a bed in the backyard.
It's not normal. They don't usually do stuff like that.
No, it's normal.
Do you do a lot of cleaning up out there that I don't know about?
Oh yeah. No.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, look how cute they are. They're playing tug of war. Axel and his daughter Scarlett. Aw.
It's very cute. And what's going on after Taffy? You have also Summer?
Yes, and I'll find out next Thursday if Summer's pregnant, and I'm pretty excited about it because I although I could have totally bred her to Axel, and I was very excited to do that, but because his puppies are amazing. And it's the girls too, but he's just doing, his babies are awesome. But I bred Summer to a new friend that I met through the SoCal Corgis page, and she lives in Rancho Cucamonga, so really close, and she's got a gorgeous black-headed tricolor male, and we don't even have any of those genetics in any of our breedings.
Right.
So
that's exciting.
We bred him and Summer, and we'll find out. And in those litters, we're going to see if we can get some black-headed tries. We will definitely get red-headed tries and reds in some sort of combination.
Okay, well, this lady, not only did she just contact you, she had done already a lot of the tests that you do. And surprisingly, especially for somebody who's not a breeder.
She's not a breeder.
She's just interested in all that like you are.
And she, yeah, well, she did the disease testing, not the color testing, which I'd like to do because I'm still learning a lot about the colors and the kind of the more what I call fun stuff as far as the natural bob tails. Oh, and he was born with a naturally bob tail, which I'm trying to get more information on that. I don't know if that's a possibility. I know a lot about it, but not all the specifics. But okay, let's see. Oh, he's a black-headed tri. He's got a naturally bob tail, and he is a national agility competitor. They fly around all over the United States and compete in agility.
Now, that's a great subject. I forgot to mention Taffy's 5 puppies are not getting their tails docked. That's kind of a big deal because it is against the showing breed standard, but it is not, that's how they're born.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. Remember the
We've
one
done another
where I
podcast
cried?
Yeah.
Because it is very, very difficult for me to do it. When I first started breeding, I knew I would have to dock the tails. I mean, when I first got a Corgi, I didn't think one way or the other, like how the tail got to be that way. I don't know that I really pondered it, like, oh, was it the dog born like that or what? But I found out that most of the time, the tails are docked. They're not born without tails. And so yeah, it's very traumatic for me to do it. And I'm excited that today would have been the day that I would have taken them to get their tails docked, and I didn't do it, and they've got tails.
I got a surprise for you.
No,
I took them. No, I just kidding. I did take them. I do like them. I do like the look with the tails docked, but I understand. And the black-headed tri that we bred to, he's got a sister that has her tail.
No, it's his daughter.
His daughter has her tail.
It's his daughter. He has made one other litter, and she kept a puppy from that litter, and she left the tail on. And so his name is Gunnar, and Leslie is my friend, and she said that it's really amazing to watch how the daughter, who gosh, I think is coming on 1 or 2 years old, but how she uses her tail in agility, and I mean all the time, not just showing emotion, but the way she uses that tail to get around the obstacles. Yep, balance, really a lot in balance. So,
a lot in balance, okay.
Mm-hmm. And so Summer's puppies, we are going to keep the tails on also because she wants a puppy.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Yep. So I'm excited about that.
But Dixie
lives with our friends. And
she's a SoCal Corgi.
Yes, and she will be having her puppy's tails docked because
she's Axel's puppies.
Yes, those are Axel puppies.
And we've had that combination before, right?
Both of the girls, Taffy and Dixie, last year had their litters. Last year they were only a few days apart. Yeah. Maybe a week, 10 days, something like that. And this year they're going to be about 3 weeks apart. Okay. But same, around the same time. And let's see, Dixie had the 4 puppies. She had more, and it was a.
What were their names?
Their names now are Scarlet, who's right back here.
Who's right back here. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. There's Scarlet, Loki Floki. He was the tricolor of the litter.
I think he's got a Facebook page.
Yes, he does. And then there is Cooper, and Cooper is up more Northern California, and he's beautiful. He looks a lot like Scarlet, but he's a boy. And then there is Luna. Luna, a little red girl that looks a lot like Scarlet also. Axel's puppies, you can kind of tell they're Axel puppies.
Well, I'll tell you, this Scarlet, we couldn't give her up. We're like, okay, it's time for her to go. We're like, no, we can't. We just couldn't give her up.
Remember that time? Well, no, because when she was born, she was the firstborn, and she was a red with a full white collar, perfect markings on her face, and I've not had a red female with a full white collar, and that's not that important to me. However, I was really excited. I mean, she just had perfect markings. And then she, when we did then you can finish now.
What?
Well,
what was I going to say?
Then I did the DNA testing because although none of those puppies would be at risk for any of the diseases, there were 3 that either mom or dad carried that could make her clear or a carrier. Well, the whole litter a clear or a carrier. And I tested her. I'm like, I'm not keeping her. I'm not keeping her if she carries anything. she's clear on everything, and everything we can test for.
Yeah.
She's clear.
So the markings are cool. The parents were cool, and she was this dog that's clear on everything.
Yeah, and she's a beast.
So it's like, wow. Yeah, she's very strong. Very strong. She doesn't stop all day. She just runs. Daisy and Sookie have to take turns, beating her up.
Trying to tame her. And that doesn't work.
No, she's crazy. It's really neat. But then when you take her out, I mean, that's with other dogs in our backyard. But you take her anywhere, and she's very sweet, very calm, and, very ready to be a one-person dog.
Well, we did obedience.
Yeah.
And I think I had put in what was that? I had put a collar on her. And I usually use a harness, but I had taken her for a couple of little walks, and usually with Taffy. So when you walk them with another dog that walks really well, they generally catch on super quick. So, and she did. I mean, she was perfect to walk. But we went to obedience class, and I was like, we'll see what happens here.
Because she's so wild.
Oh my God. I had never taught her to sit. I had never taught her anything, but it was time to sit, and she sat, and then all the little drills in the first 3. Okay, I only went to 3 classes. I'm kind of an obedience class dropout, but
it's good. I mean, that's bad.
But the instructor was super impressed. They're like, "Oh, you've really been working." I'm like, "Oh,
not at 1 minute."
But I was very impressed with her. And that's the thing. When she's in the backyard, she's very high energy and pretty high strung. But when it's one-on-one with her, she's awesome. She's like a totally different dog.
Yeah.
Very mellow. Cool. She listens. She focuses.
Yeah. So, Dixie, Summer are coming up with litters, and how long till we check Summer's ultrasound, see how many she has?
Next Thursday. Well, we don't know that she's pregnant. I think she is, because she's gotten heavier with not any extra food or less exercise.
We're not supposed to give her extra food?
Nah. No.
Hit 1,000. Right on. Yeah. And same with Dixie. We don't know yet. So it's
we do know. We do know she's pregnant.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay.
She has 7 for sure, maybe even 8.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we got Taffy's puppies. We've got 2 more litters coming.
Taffy's and Dixie's puppies are already spoken for.
Wow.
Yeah, they're already spoken for. And then Summer, they may all be spoken for. But here's the tricky thing. This is another whole subject.
This is a whole other podcast.
The waiting list is a whole.
The waiting list is a whole other
podcast. Yeah.
It's a living, breathing thing that changes all the time.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's going to be it for today, and we're going to come back to you guys soon. Hopefully not a year from now. If something, it'll be less than a month. We want to keep up with these little puppies. We're not going to bring them out today. It's just they're too young. But soon we'll be bringing them out how we've done in the other podcasts. And hopefully we'll have a camera on them pretty soon. Oh, yeah. Gavin just, as a sign-off, maybe we're going to turn a camera around and see if we can't give you guys a peek. Gavin?
Can you see them? Oh.
I have no idea if you can see them.
I can see I can see them. Well, they're kind of like not in camera range, but.
So they're there.
Yeah,
all right.
There they are.
That's where they sleep. Okay, so SoCal Corgis at SoCalCorgis.com and SoCal Corgis on Facebook. And, check us out. Bye.